So let's work with some common points on a unit circle. So for example, if we're told that t is equal to 3 pi, we want to find all 6 trig functions based off that information here. If we're told that t is equal to 3 pi, so keep in mind if we're talking about a unit circle, right, and we're typically our starting point is over here. If we do one full loop around the unit circle, that is 2 pi around the unit circle. We are given that we have 3 pi. So each half rotation, a semicircle is pi. So if I go here and I do half a circle, that is 1 pi. Another half a circle is 2 pi. Another half circle over here would be 3 pi. This is the point that they want us to focus on. And if we are talking about a unit circle, this point represents -1, 0 is the point that we are talking about. All right, so that's what we need to know. That's the information we need to pull from this right here. All right, the fact that they told us that's 3 pi, we've used what we know about a unit circle to determine that it's this point right here. That actual coordinate is a -1, 0. Now, based off of that point, now we can find all 6 trig functions here. Sine, all right, so sine of t, or technically sine pi here is what we're working with, all right? So we have a 3 pi, so again, 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi here. So I'm going to use a pi notation here instead of t. Sine of pi, well, we'll keep in mind sine is just the y value. So sine pi is equal to 0. Cosine pi then is our x value. So our x value is the -1. Tangent of pi is equal to our y over our x. Our y is a 0. Our x is a -1, which just gives us a 0 there. And continuing just working here. So cosecant, secant, and then cotangent are our last remaining ones here. So cosecant is 1 over y. That's going to give us 1 over our y value, which is 0. Keep in mind, 0 in the denominator does give us undefined here. So cosecant will be undefined. Looking at secant, secant is 1 over x. So for us, x is a -1, so that's 1 over -1. Which is just a -1 there for secant. And then cotangent is x over y. X is a -1, y is a 0, and again 0 in the denominator also leaves us with undefined. All right, what if we are asked to find sine of -pi over 2? So for this one we're going to focus specifically on finding sine. So sine is going to be the y value. We just need to figure out what value, y value are they talking about here. Now when we do sine of -pi over 2, when we're looking at a unit circle, so we typically move counterclockwise. So like let's just say this could possibly be a 20-degree angle. We move up this way, right? And we typically use that rotation. If it is negative, that means we are moving clockwise. So if they want us to do sine of -pi over 2, right, each quarter here is a pi over 2. From here to here, that's a pi over 2. Pi over 2 and another pi over 2 is going to give us a full pi. And then 3 pi over 2 and then a full 2 pi over here. All right, so think about it in quarters. 1 quarter makes a full half, 3/4, and then fully all the way around here. So if we have -pi over 2, that's a negative of a quarter. Because it's negative, we're going in the clockwise direction, and we're going in the clockwise direction 1 quarter here. This is a pi over 2. So we are talking about, when you say sine of -pi over 2, you're talking about this point, from your starting point right over here. So this is what we are talking about. Now the point for this one over here then, this would be a 0, -1 for that y value. So that's the important bit of information that we need to pull from this. Sine of -pi over 2, well, that's sine, we're looking at this point here that is 0, -1. Sine is the y value for that. So that means it is equal to a -1. We want the y value of this point, which is -1. Now, if we take a look at something like cosecant of negative 720, negative 720 is a large angle. It's a couple rotations around our circle. Keep in mind that a full rotation around a circle is 360 degrees. So if I go one loop around the circle, that's 360. If I do another full loop around the circle, that's 720. 360 plus 360. Just keep in mind that this is negative 720, so we would go clockwise around the unit circle. We would start here at 0, and we would go clockwise and make a full loop. That's negative 360. If we do another full loop, that's negative 720, which actually ends up being the same exact thing as 0, right? For 0, 360, 720, and so on are all co-terminal points with each other. But what we need to pull from that, we're talking about this point here. This point here is 1, 0. And they want us to find cosecant of that. Well, cosecant off this given point, cosecant is 1 over y. 1 over our y value here. Our y value for this point is a 0, and 0 in the denominator is going to give us undefined here. So cosecant of negative 720 is undefined.